Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Earl here with another perspective. Kind of like continuing the same topic that I was talking about last night. Teen suicide from a TV show or teen suicide from any form of entertainment. As you all know, two teenage girls from California committed suicide after watching the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why. The show centers around a young teen girl who commits suicide, but prior to that, she makes 13 recordings explaining each reason why in each of them. One of them was directed towards a boy saying, "You're one of the reasons why I've done this." The usual guilt trip that they try to lay on you. Now, the series, of course, is going to last 13 episodes, obviously. But the problem is that the parents of these two girls may or may not, we don't know for sure, may take Netflix and the creators to court. It's not been confirmed yet, but by chance it may. Which goes back to an ancient-old subject that's been long discussed. Is entertainment responsible for suicide amongst teens or other people? With that in mind, I want to bring up three similar cases. Ozzy Osbourne, Judas Priest, and Marilyn Manson. Starting with, of course, Ozzy Osbourne. Around 1986, a teenage boy committed suicide reportedly after listening to the song Suicide Solution by Ozzy Osbourne. The song was originally written about Bon Scott, the lead singer of AC/DC, who during that year of 1980, when the album was being recorded, died from excessive drinking. He had a little too much to drink at a nearby bar. He goes out to his car to relax, lay down. All of a sudden he chokes on his vomit and then dies. It's plain and simple. Now, the parents of this teenage boy obviously took Osbourne to court, which ruled in Ozzy's favor. But Osbourne's still pissed about it because the point of the song was not about killing yourself. It was about drinking yourself to death. Something Ozzy should know about because he almost did it a few times later on. But I think what really got the parents upset was the following lyrics, which is, "Where to hide, suicide is the only way out. Don't you know what it's really about?" The first line in there pretty much is what is confusing a lot of people. You have to read the whole lyrics to understand where the perspective is coming from. Another case, Judas Priest. In 1985, two teenage boys were smoking weed, drinking alcohol, and listening to the album Stained Glass by Judas Priest. One particular song they were listening to when all of a sudden the highness got to them. Better by You, Better Than Me, a song originally recorded by Spooky Tooth, which featured foreigner guitarist Mick Jones. During the midst of their high on, the boys were hearing the words, "Do it, do it, do it," and which they did. They took a shotgun and they both blew their brains out. One of them did survive for a while, but his face had to be surgically, basically had to be remade, but not quite like it was before. Priests ended up in court. They were put on trial. The trial lasted through about the same time the Two Live Crew was on trial for obscenity. Priests prevailed over that, but CBS Records, when it was still called CBS, owed the courts pretty much of pretty huge hefty sum of dollars for delaying the evidence. Basically, the company had somewhat of a cold feet, maybe. Now, to put that in perspective, let's be realistic. Those two boys were high as fuck. Anytime you drink alcohol and smoke pot, you're going to hear and see things that are not really there. In my high school days, I used to hear guys talking about how they would smoke weed and all of a sudden they see the devil right in front of their face and piss their pants. And plus, everybody knows that, like I probably was said before a minute ago, but I'll say it again. Anytime you're drunk, anytime you're high on weed, anytime you're on what it was, you're not going to tell which is from fact or fiction or it makes no sense. Makes no sense getting stoned and then listening to music or watching movies. Now the pissed off thing about this is that when one of the boys who survived asked why they did this, they said they were mesmerized by the music, which is a load of shit. I have a feeling that he said that probably to get them off the hook, because if they confessed it and said that they were stoned out of their fucking minds while listening to that album, they would get more heat from their parents and relatives for being high, getting drunk in the first place. So they probably had to come up with some sort of excuse to take the edge off of them. We've seen it many times before. It has to be, I didn't realize what I was doing. Oh, it's the band's fault. Bullshit. You were high. That is that. Every time you're high, you're going to do stupid shit. And that stupid shit put Judas Priest, one of the greatest heavy metal bands, in a courtroom on trial. It cost their record company thousands of dollars for delaying evidence. So there you go. Last case, The Reflecting God by Marilyn Manson. One person committed suicide apparently after listening to that song because of the lines, shoot, 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 motherfucker, shoot, 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 motherfucker. Now, according to Manson, he said that line was about shooting down all the negative and all the anger that's holding you down. But sadly, the parents, of course, are not going to see it that way. Anytime a rock star with cuts on his chest and arms, who wears makeup like a monster, who associated one time with Anton LaVey, tells you that they're going to look at the person and say, yep, he made my son commit suicide. Look at him, he's a demon worshiper, he's a monster. The boy was troubled, okay? And he basically wanted to go out rocking. If he got to court, I don't know if it really did. But parents, and let's not also forget that a couple years later, Manson would be blamed for what happened in Littleton, Colorado. Parents, don't be in denial. Take a look at what's going on with your children. A lot of kids feel a lot of anger, they feel a lot of frustration, and they feel like nobody's out for them. Everybody's out to get them. I was one of those kids. Remember, I used to get bullied all the time. I felt like nobody was on my side. Here's a confession. There were times where I wanted to go into high school and shoot up the whole place. Why? It was the only way to make people stop. But I didn't for two reasons. One, I couldn't afford a gun. I didn't have a job. And two, I knew what the consequences would be. And I'm not up for about getting raped in the showers. The bottom line of this is that parents, you need to pay attention to what your kids are feeling, they're thinking, what's going on in the realms of their heads. You need to be aware of these things. Too many parents are like too busy with their own bullshit to pay attention to what's going on with their kids' bullshit. And that's not right at all. Maybe it's best to write a book or write a song or something like that. But kids, like I said in the previous video, don't commit suicide. And parents, quit being in denial, okay? Don't blame the entertainment or this or that for what happens, okay? I'm Dr. Earl. Subscribe to my channel. Crank the volume up to 20. Peace.